It's been 2 years since everything fell apart. Or maybe since I finally admitted it already had. I used to think time would heal the ache of feeling invisible, but instead it just polished the lie we called a life. My husband, Ethan, worked constantly. Not just busy, always working. Weekends, holidays, even our anniversaries. He'd say it was for us, for the kids, for the future. But how do you build a future when the present is crumbling? For years, I swallowed the loneliness like a bitter pill, convincing myself this was normal. That I was normal. When Leo suggested we go to the beach that day, I agreed too quickly. Maybe I wanted to prove I could still be the mom he deserved. Or maybe I just needed to feel something. Ethan was supposed to come. He'd promised Lily, our younger daughter, a family day. But of course, work called. And he left with a kiss to Lily's forehead and a half-hearted apology to me. I didn't cry. I didn't even sigh. I just nodded like I always did, and packed the car while Leo slouched behind me, quiet as a shadow. He was 16 then, tall, wiry, with Ethan's brown eyes but softer, kinder somehow. I'd catch myself staring at him sometimes, wondering where my baby went, how he'd grown into this lanky stranger who barely spoke. The drive was silent except for his music, earbuds in, head tilted toward the window. I envied how easy it seemed for him to disappear into his own world. The beach was crowded, but we found a quiet spot near the water. Leo set up the umbrella while I spread the towels, the sun blazing hot enough to make the sand stick to my legs. I laughed when he fumbled with the sunscreen bottle, his hands too big for his own good. "You're such a teenager," I teased, but he just shrugged. We were both pretending, I think. Pretending this was normal. A mother and son on a summer day. Nothing broken beneath the surface. When I asked him to help with the sunscreen, it felt innocent. A task, a joke, a memory to file away. But his hands were hesitant at first, featherlight on my shoulders. I told him to press harder, and he did, fingers tracing the curve of my spine. I should have stopped him when he didn't stop. When his touch slid lower, lingering where it shouldn't. My breath caught, but I said nothing. Worse, I let him. I told myself it was an accident, that my son couldn't. But the truth slithered in, cold and undeniable. His palms hovered at the edge of my towel, trembling, waiting. And God help me, I whispered. "It's okay. You can touch." The words hung there, venomous and loud. He didn't hesitate after that. His hands moved like he'd earned the right, like he'd waited years to claim something. I stayed frozen, my heart pounding so hard I thought the lifeguard might hear it. Every instinct screamed to bolt up, to slap his hands away, to scream, but I didn't. I let him. I let him because it felt like being seen for the first time in a decade. I let him because I was tired of being alone. When he finished, we didn't speak. He lay back on his towel, staring at the sky like nothing had happened. I stared at the waves, my skin crawling with shame and something darker, something I couldn't name. The drive home was silent again, the air thick with unspoken things. That night, Ethan stumbled in late, tie loose, eyes glassy. He kissed my cheek, a habit, not a choice, and muttered about a long day. I watched him snore beside me, his chest rising and falling like a metronome, and wondered if he'd ever notice if I stopped breathing. Leo didn't mention the beach. Not then. But his eyes followed me everywhere. Lingering in the kitchen, watching me stir soup. Hovering at the foot of the stairs when I tucked Lily in. I should have locked my door. I should have said something, anything, to snap us both out of it. But when he stood too close in the hallway the next day, his breath warm on my neck as he whispered, "Mom?" I didn't pull away. I turned, and for a heartbeat, our faces were inches apart. A silent agreement passed between us, ugly and electric. The worst part? It wasn't guilt. Not yet. It was relief. Relief that someone finally saw me. The days after the beach dissolved into a haze of stolen moments and aching guilt. At first, I told myself it was a fluke. A lapse in judgment. A crack in my already fragile resolve. But Leo didn't act like it was an accident. He moved through the house like he'd earned the right to linger, his eyes tracking me as I cooked dinner or folded laundry. I could feel his gaze like a physical thing, pressing against my skin, reminding me of the line we'd crossed. Ethan noticed nothing. He came home late as always, Ty Askew. Eyes glazed over from another day of saving the company. Lily babbled about school drama at the dinner table, oblivious to the tension humming beneath our family's facade. I smiled when I was supposed to, nodded when I wasn't listening, and swallowed the bile rising in my throat every time Leo's knee brushed mine under the table. It wasn't long before the house itself felt like a prison. Every hallway, every creaking floorboard, every closed door became a stage for our quiet rebellion. The worst was the kitchen. One night, while Ethan worked late and Lily slept, I stood at the sink, scrubbing dishes until my hands wrinkled. The water was too hot, scalding my skin, but I didn't care. Pain was easier than thinking. Leo appeared behind me, silent as a shadow. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. "You're scrubbing the pan like it wronged you," he said, voice low. I froze, the sponge hovering above the dish. His breath was warm against my neck. "Leo," I hissed, glancing toward the hallway. "Not here." He didn't move away. Instead, he stepped closer, his chest brushing my back. "Why not?" His hand slid over mine, guiding it in slow circles over the pan. My pulse spiked. This was wrong. So wrong, but my body betrayed me, leaning into his touch like it belonged there. "I mean it," I whispered, yanking my hand away. "Go to your room." He laughed, soft and bitter. "You don't want me to." And he was right. God help me, he was right. We became experts in evasion. A brush of fingers while passing in the hallway. A lingering glance over breakfast. An excuse to be alone in the garage, the laundry room, the backyard shed. Each time the tension thickened, until even the air in our house felt charged. But it wasn't enough for him. One afternoon, while Ethan was at a conference and Lily at a friend's, Leo cornered me in his room. The blinds were drawn, the space dim and stifling. He stood too close, his hands gripping the doorframe like he was holding himself back. "I can't stop thinking about you," he said, voice rough. "You know that, right?" I backed away, my heart thudding. "Leo." "No," he stepped forward, cutting me off. "Don't pretend this isn't happening. You want this too." His words were a blade, slicing through the lies I'd wrapped myself in. I wanted to deny it, to scream at him to leave me alone, but my mouth stayed sealed. He read my silence as permission. His hands found my waist, pulling me against him. I should have fought harder. I should have shoved him away, grounded myself in the reality of what he was, what we were. Instead, I let him kiss me. His lips desperate and hungry. His tongue pushed past my teeth, and I tasted the salt of his desperation. The guilt hit like a wave, but it was too late. My hands clawed at his shirt, pulling him closer. We stumbled backward, crashing onto his bed in a tangle of limbs. His fingers dug into my hips, his breath ragged against my neck. "Say it," he muttered, biting the curve of my shoulder. "Say you want me." I couldn't. Not out loud. But my body screamed it. Afterward, we lay tangled in his sheets, the scent of sweat and sin clinging to the air. He held me, his chin resting on my head, as if this was normal. As if we were normal. "I hate him," Leo said suddenly. I stiffened. "Don't. He doesn't deserve you. Stop." My voice cracked. "He's your father." "So?" Leo rolled onto his side, staring at me. "He left you. I'm here." The simplicity of his logic terrified me. To him this was love, a twisted, desperate thing. To me, it was a confession of everything I'd failed to give him. Affection. Attention. A mother's love. Corrupted into something unrecognizable. I pulled away, tugging my clothes on in silence. "You'll regret this," I whispered, avoiding his eyes. He didn't answer. The worst part wasn't the act itself, it was how easy it became. How our secrets wove themselves into the fabric of our daily lives. I'd catch him watching me at the breakfast table, his eyes dark with memories only we shared. He'd trail his fingers along my lower back when Ethan wasn't looking, a silent dare. And I let him. I told myself it would end. That one day, I'd find the strength to push him away, to reclaim the life I'd built brick by brick. But every time I tried, his voice would pull me back. "Don't leave me," he'd murmur, his hands anchoring me in place. "You're the only one who sees me." It was a cruel mirror to my own loneliness. For years, I'd ached to be noticed, to feel like I mattered. And now, here was my son, my child, giving me that same poison gift. The house became a theater of lies. Ethan remained oblivious, lost in his own world of spreadsheets and deadlines. Lily chattered about boys and TikTok dances, blissfully unaware of the rot festering beneath her feet. But secrets have a way of unraveling. One evening, as I helped Lily with her math homework, Leo wandered into the living room. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching us. Freya, Lily sighed, tossing her pencil down. Tell Leo to stop staring. It's creepy. I froze, my smile brittle. Leo, go help your dad with something. He didn't move. Our eyes locked, and in his gaze was a challenge. A reminder that our truth was a ticking clock. I'm not doing anything, he said innocently. Lily groaned. You're weird. I forced a laugh, but my stomach churned. The cracks deepened. During a family dinner, Ethan asked Leo why he'd skipped soccer practice. I wasn't feeling well, Leo lied, spearing a piece of chicken with his fork. You okay? Ethan asked me, finally looking up from his plate. I nodded too quickly. Fine. Leo smirked, hiding it behind his napkin. Later, in the laundry room, he pressed me against the dryer, his lips finding mine before I could protest. You're getting sloppy, he murmured. You almost told him. I'm not getting anything, I snapped, shoving him back. This has to stop. He laughed. A cold, hollow sound. You don't mean that. And he was right. The breaking point came on a rainy Thursday. Ethan had taken Lily to a movie, leaving Leo and me alone in the house. The storm rattled the windows, masking the sound of our footsteps as we circled each other in the hallway. We can't, I whispered, but my hands betrayed me, gripping his shirt. He kissed me anyway, his tongue silencing my protests. The front door slammed. We froze. Freya. Ethan's voice echoed through the house. You home? Panic surged through me. Leo's eyes darkened with something dangerous, defiance, maybe. They'll be back in 10 minutes, he said, already pulling me toward the stairs. I should have stopped him, but I didn't. By the time Ethan found us, we'd barely made it to the bedroom. He stood in the doorway, frozen, his briefcase slipping from his hand. The color drained from his face as he took in the scene. Leo's bare back, my tangled hair, the guilt radiating off us like a sickness. No one spoke. Leo rolled off me slowly, pulling on his jeans without a word. I clutched the sheets to my chest, my mind racing for an explanation that didn't exist. Ethan's voice was hollow when he finally spoke. Get out. Leo hesitated, glancing at me. Now. Ethan roared. My son walked out, shoulders squared, as if he'd been waiting for this moment all along. I couldn't look at Ethan. What the hell is wrong with you? He whispered. The words cut deeper than a shout. I had no answer. Leo left the house that night. I don't know where he went. Ethan refused to speak to either of us, barricading himself in the guest room. Lily cried, demanding to know why her brother wouldn't answer his phone. I sat in the dark, replaying every touch, every word, every decision that led us here. And still, the guilt couldn't drown out the ache of missing him. After Leo left, the house felt like a tomb. The silence wasn't empty, it was weighted, thick with the things we couldn't say. Ethan refused to talk about it. He packed Leo's things into a duffel bag without a word and left it by the door, as if pretending he'd never lived here might erase what happened. Lily cried for days, demanding answers we couldn't give. Why won't he answer his phone? She'd shout, slamming doors. Did you kick him out? Was it you? I let her hate me. I deserved it. For weeks I moved through the motions, making breakfast, folding laundry, sitting at the dinner table while Ethan stared at his plate like it held the secrets of the universe. No one spoke. The air between us was static, buzzing with unasked questions. Lily stopped asking. Ethan stopped pretending to care. And I buried myself in the numbness, clinging to the memory of Leo's hands on my skin like a lifeline. He called once. I was alone in the kitchen, scrubbing a pan until my knuckles turned white. The phone rang and my heart lurched before I even saw the screen. Hello. My voice cracked. Hey, he said, quiet and rough. It's me. Of course it was. Where are you? I whispered, glancing toward the hallway. Doesn't matter. A pause. I miss you. The words gutted me. I pressed a hand to my stomach, willing myself not to vomit. Leo, you can't. I know, he interrupted. But I do. Silence stretched between us, taut and suffocating. Is he home? He asked. I glanced at the clock. Working late. Another pause. Then, can I come over? The question hung in the air like a dare. Every rational part of me screamed to say no, to end this before it swallowed us whole. But the rest of me, the part that had been starved for years, whispered yes. Don't, I said, the lie brittle. It's not safe. You mean he isn't safe, Leo muttered. I don't care about him. Stop. My voice shook. You're my son. And you're my mother. He shot back, bitter and sharp. So why does this feel like the only time you've ever seen me? The line went dead. I stared at the phone until my vision blurred. When Ethan walked in minutes later, I didn't look at him. I couldn't. The guilt metastasized. It seeped into my bones, turning everyday tasks into rituals of self-flagellation. I scrubbed the bathroom tiles until my nails bled. I burned dinners on purpose, just to punish myself with the smell of smoke. Lily started sleeping with the door locked. Ethan avoided me entirely, retreating to the guest room like a stranger. One night, I found Lily's phone open on the couch. She'd left it behind after school, and when I picked it up to charge it, a notification flashed across the screen. Asterisk. Why did Leo leave? Asterisk. I froze. Her search history was full of variations of the same question. Asterisk. How to tell if someone's lying. Signs of family betrayal. What happens when a mom and son are too close? Asterisk. She knew. Or she suspected. Panic clawed up my throat. I deleted the history, wiped the cache, and slid the phone back into her backpack, my hands shaking. But the damage was done. The walls were closing in. Leo showed up a week later. I was in the garage sorting recycling when I heard the crunch of gravel. He stood at the gate, hood pulled low, eyes hollow. My breath caught. What are you doing here? I hissed, yanking the door open. He didn't answer. He just stepped inside, crowding me against the wall. His hands framed my face, thumbs brushing my cheeks. I needed to see you, he murmured. I'm going crazy. Leo. Shua. He kissed me, desperate and bruising. I should have pushed him away. I should have screamed. Instead, I kissed him back, my fingers tangling in his hoodie like I could pull him closer, make the ache stop. A floorboard creaked. We froze. Lily stood at the top of the stairs, her face pale as a ghost. Mom. Her voice was barely audible. I stumbled back, knocking over a recycling bin. Lily, wait. She ran. Ethan came home to chaos. Lily was locked in her room, sobbing. Leo was gone. I sat on the floor, back pressed to the wall, staring at the cracks in the ceiling like they might offer answers. Ethan found me there hours later. What the hell is wrong with you? He spat, kneeling in front of me. With him. I didn't answer. There were no words left. He grabbed my shoulders, shaking me. Tell me what's happening. I flinched. The violence of his touch snapped something loose. He's your son, Ethan growled. You're his mother. This isn't, how could you? The accusation cut deeper than his grip. I swallowed bile, tears spilling over. I didn't mean to. That's not an excuse. His voice cracked. God, Freya. What does that even mean? I couldn't explain. How could I? That I'd been drowning long before Leo reached for me. That his touch was the first thing that made me feel alive in years. That guilt and desire were tangled so tight, I couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. He let go of me like I burned him. I want him out, Ethan said, standing. For good. He's your child, I whispered. No, his jaw clenched. He's not. Leo moved out the next week. He packed his things in silence, shoving clothes into a suitcase while I stood in the doorway, watching like a ghost. You don't have to do this, I said, voice hollow. He laughed, bitter and sharp. You think he'd let me stay? I didn't answer. He zipped the suitcase and slung it over his shoulder. Before he left, he stepped close, his breath warm against my ear. I'll always love you, he murmured. No matter what he says. Then he was gone. The house fell apart without him. Ethan filed for divorce a month later. Lily refused to speak to me, communicating only in clipped, icy sentences. I slept in the guest room, staring at the ceiling until dawn, replaying every touch, every word, every decision that led us here. One afternoon, I found a note tucked under Lily's bedroom door. Asterisk, I know what you did. Asterisk. No signature. Just those 4 words, scrawled in shaky handwriting. I folded it and burned it in the sink, watching the ashes curl into nothing. I started therapy 3 months later. Dr. Patel had kind eyes and a voice like a lullaby. She asked me to talk about the guilt. I told her everything: the beach, the showers, the way Leo's hands felt on my skin. She listened without judgment, nodding as I unraveled. It sounds like you felt invisible for a long time, she said gently. Like you were disappearing. I nodded, tears spilling over. He made me feel real. But he's your son, she reminded me. That's not love. That's trauma. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to cling to the idea that I was broken, not evil. But the truth gnawed at me. I'd chosen him. Again and again. The worst part wasn't the divorce. It wasn't Lily's silence or Ethan's hatred. It was the emptiness. Without Leo, I was adrift. I craved his presence like an addiction, replaying memories to fill the void. I'd find myself staring at his old room, the bed stripped bare, the closet empty. Once I curled up on his floor and cried until my ribs ached. Ethan took Lily and moved out a year later. They left me the house, the debts, the ghosts. I stay here still, wandering the halls like a shadow. The neighbors whisper. The mailman avoids my eyes. I hear Lily's laugh sometimes, faint and far away, and I wonder if she'll ever forgive me. Leo sends letters. I keep them unopened on the kitchen table, a pile of white envelopes like tombstones. I know what they'll say. Asterisk, I miss you. I love you. I need you. Asterisk. Sometimes I almost open one. Time doesn't heal everything. Sometimes it just sharpens the edges of what's broken. 2 years after Leo left, I still live in this house alone. The divorce finalized long ago. Ethan remarried last year, a woman named Claire who laughs easily and never asks about my past. Lily lives with them now, though she hasn't spoken to me in months. I sent her texts on her birthday and Christmas. She never replies. Leo? He's a ghost. He moved to another state, changed his number, and vanished into adulthood. The last letter I found on my doorstep was a single sentence. Asterisk, I'll always love you, but I can't be your secret anymore. Asterisk, I read it until the ink smudged, then burned it like the others. I see him in dreams. In the flicker of the TV. In the way Lily's eyes narrow when she looks at me, like she's trying to piece together a puzzle she's better off never solving. The guilt is a living thing. It gnaws at my ribs, claws at my throat in the quiet hours. I relive the beach every night, the warmth of the sun, the weight of his hands, the moment I let him cross a line no child should ever be allowed to cross. I replay it like a movie, wondering if I'd said no instead of it's okay, would we all still be a family? Would I still deserve to be called a mother? I started volunteering at a community center last year, tutoring kids whose parents are absent, addicted, or just plain gone. I see Leo in every one of them, the hollow look in their eyes, the way they flinch at touch, the hunger for attention they can't name. I tell them stories about bad choices and worse consequences. They nod like they understand, but how could they? Not really. Last week, a girl named Mia asked me, how do you fix things when you've messed up this bad? I didn't have an answer. Ethan sued me for full custody. He didn't have to. I signed the papers without a fight. Lily deserves better than a mother who couldn't love her the way she needed. But sometimes when I pass the high school, I see her. She's taller now, her hair dyed black with streaks of purple. She walks with her friends, laughing like she's forgotten me. I let myself watch for a minute, then leave before she notices. I don't blame her for hating me. The house feels bigger now, hollow in a way it never did when Ethan was here. I keep Leo's old room untouched, bed unmade, posters peeling, laundry still smelling like him. I sit there sometimes, staring at the cracks in the ceiling, wondering if he ever thinks about me. If he's found someone who loves him the way he deserved. If he's still alive. I've called his old number 1,000 times. Always disconnected. Last winter I relapsed. Not into drugs or alcohol, into the need for someone to see me. I met a man online, someone my age who asked too many questions and smiled too easily. We met once at a diner halfway between our cities. He reached for my hand across the table and I let him. His skin felt wrong, too rough, too foreign. I left before the check came. I haven't tried again. The worst days are the quiet ones. When the house creaks like it's whispering secrets and the silence presses against my skull until I scream into a pillow. I think about calling Leo. About leaving a voicemail begging him to forgive me, to tell me he's alive. But what if he does? What if he hates me? What if he doesn't? The truth is, I don't deserve his forgiveness. I write this now because I have to. Because telling the story is the only way I know to keep from drowning. To warn someone else that loneliness is a dangerous thing, it'll make you love the wrong people just to feel something. That the cracks in your life don't stay small forever. They spread until one day you're standing in the ruins of everything you built, wondering how you got here. I thought Leo loved me. Maybe he did. But love shouldn't be a secret. It shouldn't be a weapon or a crutch or a way to fill the holes in your soul. Love should be sunlight. Not the kind that burns, but the kind that grows things. I'll never get that back. But maybe someone else still can.